Hi, I'm Dr. Josef Witt-Doerring, and I want to bring to your attention something very important. The Antidepressant Education Coalition, or ACE, has submitted a citizen's petition to the FDA asking them to add protracted antidepressant withdrawal to the drug labels. So why does this matter? Well, it's because doctors often deny that protracted withdrawal exists, and if the FDA updates the label, it will give patients something concrete to show their doctors when they're getting dismissed, which will provide proof that this is indeed a real condition. But to help the FDA recognize this problem, we need your help. If you've experienced a protracted withdrawal injury after stopping antidepressants, please file a MedWatch report with the FDA. These reports are a critical part of how drug labels get updated. If you can put in 20 minutes of your time now, your efforts today could help prevent this from happening to someone in the future. And so here's how you can help. First, you need to go to the FDA's website to submit your reports. The link to this is also in the description to this video. You're going to go here and you're going to click Report a Problem. You'll click Consumer or Patient, and then you're going to go through the checklist. And so if you were hurt, you'd click that. Any of this, you could say other serious or medically important problem or hospitalization, whatever it was. Put in the date, whatever that date is you want. And then this is the most important part. You want to tell them what happened. Now I'm going to show you an example of how I would like you to do this type of report. And so it looks like this. So you want to start with what happened and when. So here's what I've written. This is just a generic example, which you could fit to your story. After being on Zoloft for X number of years, I decided to come off because I was feeling better. After stopping Zoloft, I developed severe withdrawal symptoms, including anxiety, panic, light and sound sensitivity, numbness and tingling on my hands and feet, cognitive problems, insomnia, and racing heart. My doctor said it would go away, but it didn't. And after 3 months, I tried to restart the drug, but it made me worse. So there's a few things here that are important. You're going to list the drug and the number of years that you were on it. If you're coming off the drug because you were feeling better, you want to say so, because otherwise the FDA reviewer is going to say, well, isn't this just the underlying condition, all the symptoms the person is reporting? You want to say that if it's true to you that you were feeling better before you came off, and then you need to describe your withdrawal symptoms. You don't want to just say, oh, then I felt, really anxious and really depressed, because anyone is going to look at that and they're going to say, well, that's just anxiety or depression. And so you need to go into the texture of how you felt, because the truth is a lot of people who have protracted withdrawal injuries, they're not just having anxiety and depression. They have neurological problems like light and sound sensitivity. Their heart can race like crazy. They can develop gastrointestinal problems. You want to list out all of the things you experienced, because for most people, it's a lot more than anxiety and depression. And doctors need this kind of details to know that, hey, this isn't just an underlying condition. There's something more going on. So if you've had additional symptoms, put them in there. I mean, always, be truthful with your report, but the more detailed you can give about your symptoms, the better of a report it will be, the more compelling it will be that you've actually developed a neurological injury after coming off. And then you can say, my doctor said it would go away, but it didn't. And then you could also give an additional detail if this is true. After 3 months, I tried to restart the drug, but it made it worse. You then want to talk about how long it has lasted for you. So I wrote here, it's now been over 18 months and I'm still very disabled. I can't work or take care of my family. And so you talk a little bit about the impact it's had on your life. And I've even felt suicidal at times. Now, it could be 6 months since this has happened. It could be 5 years since this has happened and you're actually better now. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. We need to give them an understanding of how long this has taken. The next part is the most important part of this report. And this is where you talk about alternative explanations. Now, this is a major part of how doctors determine whether something is causally related. You need to show them that other causes have been considered, and this isn't just, you're totally biased and you hate the drugs and you just want to blame everything on them. So most people who've had protracted withdrawal injuries have seen several different doctors. So just talk about what you did and what they found. And so for this, I said, I was medically healthy before this happened. That is important. So if that's true for you, put that in there. If you just had high blood pressure or high cholesterol, you could put that in there as well. But the case is not as good if you had, multiple sclerosis or some kind of neurological problem, because that makes it messier. Put that in there if it's true, but you definitely want to emphasize if you were healthy before this happened. I've seen several specialists and no other explanations have been found. So this is really important. No other explanations have been found. You could even list out the specialists: neurologists, rheumatologists, cardiologists, GI doctor. Just list them out. And then you want to say, if this is true for you, because the doctors reviewing this at the FDA are also going to think, is this just the person's underlying condition? So speak to that. The way I feel now is different from the anxiety and depression I had that made me get on these medications. Only say that if it's true. For most people I've seen, that's true. And then you could also add, I don't use any drugs or alcohol, because that's also something that they might be worried about. The last thing is that you should ask to be contacted. This is because you want them to contact you. So if they're interested in your case, they know that you're willing to spend some time with them to give them more additional details about what's happened. The more information we can give these people, the more that they can see that you're a real person, that this has happened to, and you're not just some person with an axe to grind, who hates all medical interventions. The more that they can see you and that you're real and this has happened, the better. So I would recommend, please contact me and my family so we can share more information about what has happened. You can put your cell here or an email address. This is also going to be in the FAERS report. And then you could also say this if it's true: my doctor is also open to speaking with you if you'd like to be connected. Because your doctor is going to be seen to them as like a nice neutral third party. Because they're going to be like, well, can I really believe this person? But if you say, hey, my doctor's open to speaking with you, and your doctor has investigated this with you and that they know there's no other alternative explanations, they may call the doctor and the doctor may say, yeah, I really think this was drug related and this is why. That's going to make for a more compelling case. The more of these compelling cases we can get to the FDA, the faster we can get this drug label updated. So please help out. So a few important notes here. I know a lot of people here aren't in the US. Please submit a report even if you're not in the United States. The FDA does not care if you're a US citizen or not. They only care that the drug is on the market, that US citizens are exposed to it in the US. So regardless of where you live, please help out. Generally, when FDA updates a label, other regulators will. So if you're in France or Canada or Australia or something like that, they fall like dominoes. Once someone puts it in there, the rest will follow. So let's all rally around this one now and get started. The second thing that I want you to know is that protracted withdrawal is not listed in any antidepressant labels anywhere in the world. So this is really a world's first. And so you will help us make history if you contribute to this now, and we can get it on the label so people are aware of it. So please, please, please just take 10 minutes to do it now and put together a report. And to finish it off, you're going to click through the rest of this information. You have to do the stuff that has an asterisk. Now, you can do, like, some things may not be relevant, like relevant tests and laboratory data. That's not going to be as relevant. And they might ask for a picture of the product, which you don't have. Just click no, and you just keep on essentially clicking through, and eventually you will submit the report at the end. As you go through the different sections, if there's a part that needs to be done, it will prompt you to complete it. But they really do take these with not all of the boxes clicked or the information filled. So if it's not relevant, you don't need to worry about it. The most important thing is the narrative, which I've gone over. Spend your time putting together a good narrative for the FDA reviewer. Okay, so everything is going to be in the link below this video. If you're a medical professional or a very interested patient, I'm also putting a link to the FDA's docket at the moment. What that is, it's a place where you can leave public comments on it. And so if you want to share your story there on the docket for the citizens petition, please go there. If you're a professional who has seen these things before, please go there and tell the FDA that you've seen them and that you're willing to be contacted. That is below this. And if you want to support the Antidepressant Coalition for Education, ACE, their website is going to be below this as well. Thank you so much for your time.